Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Factorio. This is episode number 11. Look at this, there is a base over here. A moment ago, I swear to you, this must have been about 3 of those nests, and now there is a heck of a lot more. So we're going to go in there and destroy this thing quickly. We were working on oils last episode, and I'm still doing work with that, transferring all of the stuff, and that's not good. There's trees in the way. They're actually often a problem when going into these nests. Listen to that sound, isn't it lovely? The sound of death. Death for the baddies. That's what I've been calling them. Right. We want to hop around here. To the side we're going to go. There is quite a lot of them coming out. And they're coming out consistently, so we really need to get in there and destroy a nest or two. I'm too far away. I tend to do that. I extend my mouse cursor more towards the base than I should do. And now there is a huge worm. Let's get all of that in there right there. One of these is probably going to die. But we're going to take out a whole bunch of nests and that massive worm as well. Now let's try and keep... I didn't get there in time. I'm trying to keep him alive. And I think there's just 1 or 2 more nests now. So let's walk in here. Yeah, just a couple more and then we're good. Right, I'm very low on my armour. And there we go. I know that's not efficient, but we have taken out all of the nests. Amazing. Sweet. Right. Looks like there might be 1 or 2 more nests popping up around here as well, actually. Were they there before? I don't know. Yeah, it looks like maybe all around the place there's loads of little nests popping up again. Maybe it does it periodically. Anyway, let me clear up all of this mess that we've just made and we'll head back over to the base. Well, I've been standing here for about 5 minutes now. I'm waiting for the last of this stuff to go through. You can see it's down to 0.1. And if we move backwards here, you can see it gets a little bit higher the further back we go. These numbers have been going down slower and slower the closer they get to 0. So we have a look at what I've been doing over here. I've been disassembling the old setup and taking out the oils from these tanks, and it looks like these ones are very low as well, struggling from the same thing. So anyway, they get redistributed down here, and there's something cool that I want to show you. It's in my hotbar. It is a small pump. This thing right here will actually extract or move the oils in the pipe in one direction. So we have one over here, so it's pulling everything that's behind it in that big system through into our tanks over here. And for a second there it dawned on me that these might be full, but they're not. As you can see, I've sort of been extending it a little bit down here, although we've got this pipe in the way, and then the same thing for this side over there. So there's the other small pump. I also moved over some petroleum, set up a tank for the water, just did that out of amusement really, to see if it would fill it up, which obviously it would. And then over here we've been storing, and it's actually full, some crude oil, which we've been pumping out of the ground. So now should be able to accommodate a little bit more of that. So that's been redirected from over there. But the next thing to do now is for me to disassemble all of this, to get rid of all of these tanks, set up the new ones properly, and then we can move on to making batteries. I think that's going to be one of the first things we do. So we're going to recreate this, and I'm going to try and do it in a much smarter, more efficient fashion in the part of our new assembling area. And then when we've done that, I think once we get batteries up and running, I'm going to move on to doing science packs again, and then we'll start doing some more research because there are more things that we can get. So anyway, I'm going to take this thing apart. One thing I did test actually, when you remove these, you lose what's in them. They don't seem to go back into the system like anywhere else, which is a little bit unfortunate. But there you go. So anyway, I'll do those things and be back with you soon. So I am looking at these tanks down the bottom here, and I'm thinking we really should have moved those further away. If I ever need to expand this, that's going to be a pain to do, but it's not a problem really. If we're ever needing to expand them, they're probably going to be low on resources, right? Because we've got loads being produced. But anyway, let's set this thing up. So the way I wanted to do this, the ones at the top don't have water going in, so they're going to do the basic ones, and then the ones down here are going to do the advanced oil processing. And now we're going to create a ton of pollution, and all of these materials or oils are going to be processed. Yeah, that was a proper sentence, wasn't it? Anyway, so over here I've also set up something for lubricant as well. Let's get this going. I think that's literally all that it needs, and I'm not too sure about storage for this, but if we look at the sort of line system we built so far, I put this in a position where we pull off from this bit right here, so that's all connected to the tanks, and then we produce our lubricant. It goes into this, which is in line with these other ones, so we can send it across, and we're also going to send it back and down as well. But there's a few things in the way at the moment, and then somewhere down here we'll probably have a small storage for the lubricant as well. And if these things were just spaced out a little bit more, you know, we could have actually had our tanks like one wide, but I don't know what's the best way to do it, and sometimes it's easy to overthink this stuff. I think we've got more storage than we're ever going to use here, but you know, we're learning as we go along. So oil processing is underway. And I did say I was going to do all the science research and set up all of that stuff as well. So I guess we'll do that right now because I'm getting distracted with other things like setting up the lubricant and all of that. So yeah, we'll get to the science and the batteries next. Okay, what was the goal? Batteries, I do believe. We need sulfuric acid to make batteries. So over here, I've made plastic, and now we're going to be making sulfur, which we'll make to use sulfuric acid. Which is interesting because at the moment what we're doing is we're pulling things from our line here of all the different ones. We've got water here as well, all the different oils and liquids, and we're bringing it into this system, whereas when we come to making sulfuric acid we'll be doing it in the opposite direction because we need sulfur to make that stuff, which is kind of cool. But anyway, we're going to set this up on camera just because I know you are also fond of that. We should have one more of these, and there it is. For some reason, it's in my inventory. I'd like it if they synced up a little bit more together. I think that would be a nice change. So there's a gap of 1, 2, 3. We're going to do it like this. I had a little think about how this could work. It should be really straightforward. We're working with 2 liquids here. So the first one is going to go like that, and then it's going to come down here as far as it can. And I think the first one is water. So actually we have to set the recipe first so we know what side it's going in. So that'll be one of them. Let's find out. We're making sulfur. And of course it's the wrong one. So let's remove all of that. Put sulfur on this one as well. It should stay on the bottom. It might switch over on the opposite side. I just clicked on something at random there. That wasn't clever. Sulfur. Let's have a look what it does over here. Yeah, look at that, it swaps it around. So it's going to be slightly different on either side. We didn't have to do that on this one over here. So anyway, the first one's going to be water. And we'll pull it across like that. And then it'll connect to this one, which will then connect to the water, which is very close. So all we have to do is that. And I'm probably going to move this down by 1, you know, align it up with all of that. As you can see here, by the way, there's plenty of room to expand this downwards. And also, the way we're doing this, we're putting the plastics on either side of the track rather than having something like this over here to sort that out. So it's a bit of a different system. We're going to do the same thing on this side over here. So anyway, the next one is going to be the petroleum gas, I do believe. And what we'll do is we'll leave a little bit of space for the player to walk between. And then there's a nice bit of space here between the 2 places as well. And although they're quite close together, that is going to be useful like that. So now we need to connect this up to petroleum, which is that one right there, I do believe. So we might as well just connect that round to there. I'll probably tidy this up a little bit and just make it look a little neater maybe. But there you go. We've now got petroleum going into that bit once we connect these up. And there it goes, I think. Let's check. Yep, it's got petroleum. It's got the other stuff. So now all it needs is power. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And as far as powering it goes, I'm going to put a cable in the middle on either side like that. We'll have some lighting here as well. There we go. And now the stuff is being produced. I do believe that this will suffice. And it was pretty simple and straightforward really, wasn't it? There we go. We're going to have a line of 3 here, by the way. I think I should have stuck with lines of 3. That makes a lot more sense than to have lines of 2 going side by side. At least to me it does. And the coal is just coming from a, not coming from our buffer yet, so not a permanent location, but I'll sort that out later. Yeah, because we've got 3 here in the middle, and, you know, it's quite easy to split stuff up from it like this, and you can run the tracks through on either side. So now we're kind of creating unnecessary space. So I decided that what we'll do is go 3, 2, 2, and then 3 again. We'll do the same thing on the other side for neatness. So now I need to hook up this side to get sulfur on both sides of the tracks. So we're going to do that, and then I think we're going to be ready to make sulfuric acid. So a challenge has presented itself. The sulfuric acid is going to be an interesting one. We need to get sulfur and iron onto a line down the side here. And we don't have much space to do it in, so that's going to be the challenge basically. I'm sure it won't be too difficult to figure out. Not going to do it on camera though, just because I have to sit here and think for so long. It'll probably take about 10 minutes to do the whole thing. So anyway, the output is going to be fairly straightforward. I don't know if there's, you know, any benefit or reason to perhaps have just one of these utilised and an underground pipe to the next one, but we're probably not going to be walking in the middle of there. So I've done it like this. It's going to pump the output down to the bottom here. Now what I was thinking was adding the sulfuric acid line at the top, which means we'd have to go back and rearrange some of this a little bit. But actually, if you look here, it goes round straight down to the bottom. I figured that this is actually a good place to put that line. There it is, pipes, and there's no light around here, which I know is bad. If we head back over in this direction, it's going to come right into our lubrication production, so we might have to reroute it around here, but at the moment it actually lines up right next to it, so that would be where the next segment is, and then that should extend. Is it the maximum reach? It looks like it is over there, and then this can come downwards, and we'll have a little storage area for it as well down here. So that works out nicely for the sulfuric acid. I know this is heading back down the line, which is a little bit strange, but I guess that is a bit strange. Oh no, I've put lubricant into the line, so we can't actually have it there. I might not actually send this stuff back now that I think about it. I might just make the storage area further up the line, since we're not going to be using this space. But I like the neatness of all the things, sort of following format, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I'll make a decision. Right, let's get this thing working. You know what, now that I've started to build it, I realised it's going to be quite simple. We're going to have a splitter here for the sulfur, so that's going to come off the main track, go straight in there. Actually, that needs to be an underground belt. I'm not sure why I did it like that. And then it's going to swing round to the other side, and then we've got 2 irons coming down the middle here, and that's easier than having one in the middle and a splitter going off to either side. And then that means once again we can pull from either side of the iron as well. So this one here has got it nice and easy. It's just going to be like that, and it's going to redirect straight downwards like so, and then the sulfur is going to redirect like this. I think I'm doing it right first time as well. I don't think I've like missed or overlooked anything. And let's have that go around like that, and then down here. Yes, I have, because the iron is on both sides of the track, which is no good. Okay, I'm going to need a solution for that. So you can see where this is going. However, it's going to be sort of uneven on either side, because the sulfur will be on the opposite side of the track, which I don't like, and I know that doesn't really mean too much, but then I was looking at it and I was thinking, actually, if we rearrange this a little bit, it will be neater overall. In fact, we need to disconnect this, because it's going to be a little bit problematic to get iron around from the other track down in the middle here and then on the opposite side, which actually we don't need to do, and we're getting attacked somewhere. So anyway, I was looking at this and I was thinking, what are we doing wrong here? What we should do, I think, is actually just space out these tracks on either side and then split them from the middle. So if we just come back around like this, and I've got tons of sulfur in my inventory now as well. In fact, I can put them into these things before the inserters do, at least on that side. So what we'll do, and let's just make sure that is well and truly moved back, is bring it in like this. So then we're going to have a splitter on the inside, somewhere around here. Let's press the right button for the sulfur. That can then send it to either side of the track, as well as going continuing on its way, although I don't think it's needed for anything else other than explosives, so we'll probably leave it on the track. And then this means for iron it's just going to be easier to split it off over here, put it straight onto that track, which will probably go through some underground belts, and then same thing on the other side, we just route it round and put it on the correct side of that, so it should be pretty straightforward. So here's a cool little trick. You can get these to point onto the right side of the track, yet just have one track there by using the fast underground belt. So what I did over on this side is I started off by placing one of these on the top side, leading it down here, putting the splitter there, and then removing the one at the top, and now it stays how it is, so it puts it on one side of the track, which is nice because it's just a little bit more compact than what we had before, which was underground tracks on either side and this track going back a little bit. So there's a nice little tip there. Okay, our factory is moving along, and I've got to say it's starting to get a little bit tedious. It takes so long to set these things up, and we're slowly getting back to where we were before, but obviously this thing is going to be a lot better than our previous system. I need to put down a track right here, and sorry if my voice sounds a little off. It is morning now, but yes, you can see that I've set up the batteries. Pretty simple stuff. We've got the sulfuric acid coming in straight from this bit over here, and then we've got our copper and iron at either side, so that's batteries. Now what we're going to do next is make the advanced circuits. So we've got our plastics, we've got our cables and electronic circuits, that's all over here. But what we're going to do is probably what we're going to do with batteries as well, which is to send them in the opposite direction. And we'll probably have it done with a splitter, so we send them in either direction, and we're going to send them all the way back down here because I have set up the beginning of the next part of the science over here. So you can see this is going to be for the third pack. We've got two of our ingredients over here. Pretty simple stuff to get them on the track, and then the other two things that we need for that are going to come from this direction. And you might be wondering, why am I doing that? Well, I want all the science stuff just to be together. After this one right here, we're going to make the 4th tier science pack, which is made out of these things. So we're just going to have a chest that we drop them in, and then it makes them based on how many we put in. So we'll have all of that, and then that means we can finally get our research going again, which is going to be pretty cool. And then after that, I'm going to start looking at the tech tree and finding out what things become redundant, because I've been moving these inserters up the line, and I'm not sure actually if they ever get used again by anything. And the same could go for some other materials here. I think sulfur just has one more use, which is explosives. So once we've done that, somewhere around here, what I want to do is create like a pickup point where we have all of the materials we've got so far, and we craft as many different things as we can with them. For example, let's have a look. Yeah, lamps, some of the belts. We want to make the red belts by default now instead of the yellow ones. You know, just all this useful stuff like the electric poles and the big supply poles as well. All of those things just in a similar area, so we can walk in there and pick up all of the stuff. So I've got to design that after we've kind of done these next few bits. So it is real tedious, and I think this time we're going to make a huge jump forward. So when we come back, I should have all of the science stuff done and the advanced circuits as well. Once again, I've spent a lot of time playing, and we have now built this little setup right here. It took a long time just because the copper wires and the electric circuits, you know, we want to bring them up and then we want to put them on the opposite sides of the track, and it ended up being the best thing to do was to bring them once again from the main line. So that's why it's a bit messy around here, and this has got to be the messiest and ugliest looking of all the setups so far, but it's doing the job. Now, like over here where we're sending the batteries off to one side and the other to go further down the line, we're doing the same thing just up here. So we have this kind of line going down the side here, and now we're making the potions, and we filled up the track, which is awesome. And I cannot remember what the next step we were going to do is, but we are actually getting really close to firing this system up, which is what we're probably going to do in the next episode. That means dismantling the previous system and building the smeltery, which will take advantage of these electric furnaces, which is going to go all down the front here. That's going to take all of the ore and turn it into the copper and iron. And then we'll be able to see how this system will hold up, because at the moment, if you take a load of electric circuits, then it takes a long time to fill back up because there's so little copper coming through. But anyway, I'll figure out what we're doing next, and I'll obviously do some more building and inform you on how it goes. I remember what we were working to now. You spend so long just focusing on one objective sometimes you forget what the overall one is, and there's quite a few things I want to do at the moment, but science was the one I think we set out to do in the beginning of this episode. If it's not, I'm a complete derp. You can facepalm, do all the things you want. We want to get science up now. That's what we're going to do. You can see I've set this thing up right here. We have 20 of these, and I'm pretty sure when we run this thing, it's just going to bring our power system to its knees. But it's going to be funny to see what happens, and it'll give us an indication of what we need to do. If you have a look here, you can see our consumption is going up, although our accumulator capacity isn't going down yet. So I imagine when those turn on, it's going to be a little bit of a problem. But you can see here that these ones are not able to keep up with the others in the system. These ones are extremely fast because you get 10 at once. You can see I've used the assembling machine 1, and maybe what we could do is use assembling machine 3. You see that, I think, could really help. Let's have a look. What's the crafting speed? 0.75 or 1.25. So the idea there might be to upgrade them all, and then these would be a little faster. But I think what I actually like to do is just expand this, because I really do think we're going to need a couple more of these. So that's probably what I will do. I also put a couple of these speed modules in, but for the extra speed you get, it doesn't really feel like it's worth the extra consumption. So we're going to take those out, and what we're actually going to do, I think, is, yeah, we're probably going to make another 2 of these on either side and just expand all of this up here. Okay, this has been expanded, as you can see. It's pretty cool. Let's put this thing online. I'm expecting it to all go to its knees, to be honest, and then having to turn it off again because we probably don't have enough power to run this thing. But this is the kind of setup that we want. We'll work towards getting more power for it. And so now what we've got to do is hook up some research. The next thing I would like to do is this thing right here, the portable fusion reactor. That's going to give us a ton of power, if provided we could actually make one. Yes, we can afford that. We actually can, and that can go into our suit and provides us with tons and tons of energy that is a lot faster than the solar powers. So let's start this. We've definitely got enough potions. It's also not using the alien technology ones, and look at that. Let's check out our power consumption. I'm pretty sure we're going to tap into the accumulator capacity right now. Saying that, I'm not really seeing... Yeah, we're seeing a steady rise. I tell you what this is. This will be all the things that now have to craft that are behind this. Now these potions down here, they actually have loads of them in the assembling machines. If we have a look here, you can see more than enough over there. But these ones are now using materials, which means all the stuff on the line is being used, and then it's setting off assembling machines all over the place. So that's why that's steadily rising. However, these things themselves, I thought we would have seen a big spike for that. You know, and maybe we are. Maybe I'm not looking at this correctly. If you have a look here, actually, 20 of those does not use that much. And there's the spike down there, so you can see that that's then gone and set off all of these machines. I love the way you can see this right here. Yeah, so red line, science comes on, and then the system reacts to the demand for all these new items in the absence of potions on our line. It's very cool. It's very cool stuff, but our system is actually handling that, which is kind of impressive. And already, look how fast we're going through this. This is amazing. Oh, it really is. And we can go even faster as well because we are missing some potions at the end here by the looks of it. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. And I think it's a good idea to have all of these activate at the same time. So the ones at the end might get wasted because if you have an odd number researching, then they all finish at the same time and not all of it contributes to the research. That's why I chose 20. So we successfully brought our research online, however we have a shortage of the tier 3 potions. So down here we're going to be upgrading all of these, and then next episode we're going to be bringing the entire system online properly. So that's it for this one. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.